everybody. I'm Stacy.
And I'm her daughter, Mickey.
And welcome to KiddieNomics. It's another fun-filled Friday of kids financial literacy with KiddieNomics. I am uber excited for today's guest because today we're going to be talking about buying your first car. And I wish that I had this webinar when I was younger and bought my first car way back. So I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But so today it's all about buying your first car with Mr. Joshua Findlay, which is awesome. But before we get into that, let's get into like, what is KiddieNomics, right? Okay. All right, let's share my screen.
Can I read it this time?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yay. All right, so welcome to KiddieNomics. Welcome to all of the new kiddies that registered this week. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. If it is your first time, put it in the chat box if this is your first time, and the kids will welcome you online in the chat box, okay? And of course, let's welcome back all of our returning kiddies that are here week after week. We love you guys for being here and repping the KiddieNomics community, right? All right, so what is KiddieNomics? Mickey's gonna read it this week.
KiddieNomics will help kids ages 8 to 13 to develop a healthy relationship towards financial literacy, helping to start off on the right path to have a successful.
I know, that's a mouthful.
Financial future.
Yay, all right. So that's what we want for you. That's what we want for you. That's what we want for everybody, right? Like we want everybody to have a very, very successful financial future. And to get there, financial literacy will definitely do that for you, right? So before we do roll call, I'm just going to go through some of our housekeeping items, right? And then we'll do roll call. All right. So please remember, every single KiddieNomics webinar is recorded, right? So we record every webinar, but don't worry, we can't see or hear anybody that is attending the webinar for your privacy reasons. So we can only communicate through the chat box. Now, speaking of the chat box, I say every week after week, the chat box is there. We like to maintain a very healthy, happy, friendly KiddieNomics community. So in the chat box, I never want to see any personal information, right? We had that webinar with Miss Hadriana. We talked about online privacy and the importance of it, right? So you should never see any of your like ages, your phone numbers, your email addresses, anything that can identify you really, okay? So we never want to see that in the chat box. Like I'll ask you what country you live in. You want to put your city, that's fine. You could rep your city, but I don't want to see your exact address, anything like that in the chat box, all right?
What about your neighborhood?
Your neighborhood?
Yeah,
like a different, I guess so. I guess you can put your neighborhood. Like if it's in a certain city or something like that.
No, just like the neighborhood name.
The neighborhood name? Okay. Yeah, I think you could do that. Yeah, that's fine. And also please remember that we have kids on that are like 8 to 13. Sometimes we have kids on that are younger. Sometimes they're older. So we're going to respect in the chat box everybody's thoughts, right? So always remember to keep it nice and friendly in the chat box. And you will see me from time to time say, hey, let's focus on the speaker right now, okay? And that's just me saying, let's quiet down the chat box, please, and focus on what we're supposed to be learning today, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now let's do roll call. All right, now let me get into the chat box today. Hey, hopefully I don't see anybody. Roll call. All right, so tell me, where is everybody joining us from today? Hey, Gay, you're joining us from the UK. Yay! Yay, Brielle's joining us from Canada. Hey, Brielle. Or Lou, you're joining us from Mars. I love that. Heather's joining us from Canada. Hi, Brielle. Who else? Who else is on? Lisa's joining us from Canada. I'm going to go to Mickey.
Oh, you didn't forget about me.
No, I didn't forget about you this week because I tend to. I tend to forget her, even though she's sitting beside me. Go ahead. Where are you from today?
I'm fine.
How come nobody ever says like Venus or like
Um, your stomach.
yes, you are from my stomach. So like Michaela says she's from my stomach. All right. That's true. That's very true. Lisa's from Jupiter. Yes.
But I'm also from the wall.
You're okay. We need to get some different planets. I'm gonna start asking you guys the planets in our solar system because you guys pick Mars and Mars all the time.
How about planet Earth?
Venus, says Lisa. Pluto. Thank you.
I said that, yeah.
You said Pluto last week? No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
All right, thanks. Let me see what you guys come up with for next week, all right? Let's get some different planets in the solar system. Who always, oh, it's Timmy that always says Kepler 22b. I got to find out where that one's from. Yeah, isn't it Timmy? Yeah, it is. It's Timmy. No?
It's Ibby.
No, I think it's Timmy.
No.
All right, we'll see when Timmy joins, if he joins us next week. All right, so let's get into our special guest speaker. So today we have Mr. Car Salesman of Richmond Hill, Lexus. Wow. I'm super excited to have him on. So Mr. Joshua Findlay, he is AKA Josh Lexus Richmond Hill, a husband and a father of two who has a passion for assisting people to get them into their dream vehicles at Lexus of Richmond Hill. Whether it is a new or pre-owned vehicle, his people skills and excitement can always get the job done. So let's welcome to KiddieNomics and give a big round of applause to Mr. Joshua. All right, hold on. There we go. Hi.
Hello, hello, hello. What is up?
How are you?
I'm good. I love the energy that you guys bring to the whole KiddieNomics online presence. It is amazing. I just want to say that. And shout out to everybody who's tuned in right now, because you know, I spent my day watching the KiddieNomics videos, and the energy that I just felt through everything you guys are doing. I gotta applaud everybody watching, all the kids, all the parents, and you guys especially for doing this each and every Friday. I think it is absolutely amazing what you guys are doing. So
thank you so much. We love the KiddieNomics community because they are super fun. Like, it's super fun every week with the kids and Mickey.
It is great. I feel like, just like, if I wish I had this opportunity when I was younger. I'm 35 years old, and I never had this type of financial literacy awareness in my younger years, elementary, early adulthood. So I just really hope that people watching really understand the importance, and what you guys are doing is like a blessing, definitely.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm super excited for your topic today, because I remember I bought my first car when I was 19. Yeah. And I remember going into the car dealership, and I knew nothing about cars. Yeah. Then I went in by myself as a 19-year-old young lady, and I was like, all right, well, I like that silver car. And it happened to be an Acura Integra. Wow. And that's what I drove. That's what I bought as my first car. Yeah. And I wish I had more education, because I way overpaid for the car that I found out after. Right? Yes, I didn't know anything.
And that's something like, yeah, even like, yeah, that is something a lot of people do go through, because they don't understand how it all works. So I have a presentation that I put together just to kind of, what today's purpose is going to be showing you about buying your first car, and kind of like how to go about the steps and the process to buying your first car, or even if it's a second car, just the process that you should be taking just to help you along the way to make better decisions. So should I pull up my PowerPoint and share my screen?
Yeah, so click the share screen button. Sorry, just stop. So Lisa says that she knows a lot about cars, or they know a lot about cars, and they like Audis.
Oh, maybe you'll change nice. Oh, I can see the chat now. Sorry, I wasn't able to see it. I can see it. Audis are very nice brand. That's a very nice luxurious brand, might I say. I do work for Lexus. Audis is a competing brand to us, but we're both up there when it comes to high-end luxury vehicles. So I'm going to click share my screen. Okay.
There we go.
See that? So let me just click on this. Okay, you can see me, you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So feel free to ask me any questions as I go along. Sorry, one moment. Just give me 1 second here. Feel free to ask me any questions as I go along to this presentation, but I'm going to start it off. So the topic today that I'm going to be speaking on is buying your first car. Once again, my name is Joshua Findlay. I work at Lexus of Richmond Hill, and I understand that there are some people here who are not in Canada. So I'm in Toronto, Ontario, in a small, not small, but in a township called Richmond Hill. It's a car dealership that I'm at. So let me just skip to the next one. And then, as I said, who am I? Which in the bio, you already touched on the points. So I'm born in Toronto, raised in Mississauga. For my Torontonians that are tapped in, there might be some Mississauga, West End people watching. And as she mentioned, I'm a husband, father of 2 beautiful babies, which I just put here on the bottom left corner. I'm Trinidadian, my background, Trinidadian and Jamaican, and I am a car salesman at Lexus of Richmond Hill. I sell brand new and pre-owned. So what pre-owned vehicles are, because some people may not know, it just means I also sell a vehicle that somebody else had purchased and they traded that vehicle into the dealership, and then we safety it and service it and clean it and refurbish anything that needs to get fixed, and then we resell them. So when you're buying a car, you can buy new or pre-owned, just to kind of clarify, because I might mention that a few times about pre-owned. So in the top right corner, that's just me at work, and then in the bottom corner, that's me delivering a vehicle to a customer, and there's a little present in that trunk for him. Then here's just my information. Let me just pass it through. Okay, so understanding what you need to buy your first car. So Stacy, while I'm doing this, I don't see the chat. So if there is any questions, if you just want to read them out, because I only see my PowerPoint presentation, just feel free to let me know.
So you'll see me raise my hand from time to time when any of the kids have a question or I have a question.
Okay.
Or Mickey.
Okay, Mickey, sounds good. Sounds good. So understanding what you need to buy your first car. First things first, in my opinion, you're going to need your driver's license. So different parts of the world require different age limit for you to get your driver's license. But here in Canada, at the age of 16, you are eligible to get your G1, and then your G2, and then your G license. So there's 3 steps. But in order to have a vehicle that you can drive, you're going to need your G2. What your G1 license is the first step in the whole process, where you go, you take a test, you do an online test. Sorry, I'm thinking COVID. You probably go to the ministry, maybe it's online now, you study, and this is where you're learning about the signs, the road restrictions, the rules on the road. Once you get your G1 license, step number 2, most likely you're going to need to go to driving school. So once you go to driving school, this is where you're going to learn how to actually drive behind a wheel. When you have your G1 license, you're able to drive with an adult that has their G2 in the car. So you're not able to drive by yourself in a car with just your G1 license. So anybody who's maybe 14, 15, or 16 years old right now, heading towards that age, when you get your G1 license, do not take a car for a joyride. You still have to have an adult with you in the car who has their G2 in order for you to drive a car. Then after you complete driving school, you can then apply to get your G2 license. And if you pass that test, you can drive a car on your own. So those are the steps that I did many dinosaur years ago, probably about 20 years ago. I did that. I did my G1, my G2, and then driving school and my G license. So that's step number 1. So maybe there's anybody at home taking notes. I'm not sure, even just for you to remember when you look back at this video. So G1, G2, and G license. Now that you've got your G2, so this is assuming you've passed your driver's test. Me personally, I failed my driver's test, I think 2 times many years ago. You actually have to get comfortable being behind a wheel. And these are all the steps before buying a car. So you have to be very comfortable behind a wheel. Driving school, sometimes I used to drive with like my mom or dad in school zones or in school parking lots just to learn how to park, just to get comfortable with where the windshield wipers are, how to put the car in reverse, put the car in park, using the cameras. And now with today's technology, a lot of the vehicles have blind spot monitors, backup camera. There's a lot of technology, safety features, safety sensors that wasn't around when I was getting my G1 and G2 license. So as I mentioned here, assuming you pass your G2, this is where you're now going to start to search for maybe your first car. This is where you may not need to take the bus anymore. You may not need to get Uber ride or Uber or getting driven around by your family. So this is where you start to become more independent once you have your G2 license. So that's what I mentioned here. And usually once you have your G2 on the very bottom, so you're about 16, 17, maybe 18 years old, you're probably in grade 11, grade 12. This is where you're most likely starting to shop for your first car. I didn't get my first car till I was probably 20, 21, but everybody's different. Nobody gets their car right away. Some people it's later on in life, but it just gives you a timeline of when you should be looking for your first car. Usually by the time you're in your grade 12, 18 years old. So what I have here on the screen, these are 2 Lexus vehicles. So I work for Lexus. These are 2 2022 models. I just wanted to show so people can understand like the brand that I work for. So that's the Lexus logo. Lexus is a Japanese company. It's been around since early 1990s. So it is a high-end luxury brand. It is very reliable, very safe. So when you are looking for your first car, my recommendation is always looking for something that is reliable. So meaning very low on maintenance, is very safe. So you don't want to buy a very cheap car because it costs next to nothing and it may not be safe for you. So think about safety and think about reliability and also what you can afford. So, a step in buying a car, you're going to have savings. You're going to most likely have to work. So when I was 16, I got my first job at 16 years old, maybe 15, 16. So in about grade 9 or grade 10. I immediately started saving money and putting money away in savings accounts so that by the time I reached 2021, I was able to purchase my own first car, or about 20. I was able to buy my first car without any help from parents. But that was a personal decision that I made because I was working throughout the years. When I graduated high school, I had a full-time job. So, keeping that in mind, cars do cost money. So you're going to have to save, you're going to have to work, you're going to have to really put in the back of your mind when you start working, even if it's like I worked at KFC when I was in grade 10, right through high school. So no matter the job that you have, you're just thinking in mind, you're going to have to start saving towards a vehicle, saving towards, a house. These are 2 big purchases that you're going to be making in your life. So a vehicle is one of them. And that's what I have here on the screen. This is the Lexus RX and a Lexus NX. Where to begin your search? Because some people might say, I live downtown, I live in an apartment, I don't see any dealerships around, I live in a house, I don't see them. To everybody watching this, you're very lucky to live in a digital social media age where you have information provided at your fingertips. And by fingertips, your cell phones, your internet, Google, Instagram, Facebook, all of these things were not available to maybe your parents or your parents' parents. Back in the day, we did not have the internet to search for vehicles. So my tip number 1, using Google, using Instagram, using Facebook, just to start to get an idea of a vehicle that interests you by simply typing in, I know we're in 2021, but I'm kind of forecasting here. So typing in 2022 cars or typing in 2022 SUVs or 2022 vans, just to get an idea to begin the search, because there are a lot of cars, there are a lot of different price points, there are a lot of different brands. You know, somebody mentioned they like Audi, and I, you know, that is an amazing brand. There's Mercedes, there's BMW, there's Honda, there's Toyota. So you kind of have to begin to narrow down what you're looking for. That's the step number one. Question.
So, Mr. Joshua, would you maybe suggest starting your search with your budget on how much you are looking to spend on a car? Like, would you search for cars $5,000? Because I'm not sure for a young person buying their first car may not be a luxury car, and it may not be a brand new car, right? So would they start with their budget? Because we talk about budgeting a lot on KiddieNomics.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. Yes, definitely. Because I'm just thinking back to when I first purchased a car, I definitely had to budget like $5,000 to $10,000 was my maximum budget for a vehicle. Some people it may be 1,000 to 5,000 as your budget. So when you do searching and you're beginning your search, yes, budgeting is also very important, because you may see a car, you know, a Mercedes Benz that might cost $90,000 and it's your first purchase. That might not be everybody's first purchase or brand for purchasing. You might be thinking more like Toyota or Honda or Acura. Some of the more basically, you know, Kia, like the more common household names before stepping into luxury. Usually luxury brands are some of the more higher end that I wouldn't say is always a first car purchase. So when you are looking online, you know, there's a lot of online vehicle platforms, things like Auto Trader, that where you can type in and you can filter out. Like, so if anybody, so just to mention again, autotrader.com or autotrader.ca. And that's in North America, where you're able to filter out the budgeting you have. So if your budgeting is 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 or even $1,000, even on websites. So on my website, on where I work at Lexus Of Richmond Hill.com, we can filter a budget and you can put in your maximum budget and it will tell you all the cars available within your budget. So that is definitely a part of the step. Yep.
Lisa would like to know, is there an electronic Lexus coming out?
Is there an electronic?
Yeah, is there an electronic Lexus coming out?
Very good question. So our very first electronic Lexus comes out next year in 2022. It's actually a electronic hybrid plug-in. So it's called the NX450H hybrid plug-in. The full electric is coming in 2025. There's going to be a 10 models from our brand that will all be full electric. And then those who are watching that aren't really familiar with what that means. So when you're buying a car, there's gasoline where you go to the gas station, put gas in it. There's also gasoline and hybrid. So hybrid is more fuel efficient, where your vehicle actually runs on a battery charge and gasoline, and it's self-charging. So very fuel efficient. And then what Lisa asked about electric means the car is running on no gas, no battery. It's just power charged. So you plug in your vehicle, you charge it overnight, 4.5 hours, and you have your full range of kilometers that you can drive. So I believe that is where the future is heading, where a lot of brands and vehicles are going electric. So Lexus will be there next year and 2025.
Awesome. I hope that helps. If it didn't, then let us know, okay?
Yeah. It's a very, very good question. So this is just me telling you that here in this quote, I'm here to make your auto shopping experience fun, easy, and economical. So meaning affordable. That's always the first thing. So examples of first cars. So I've kind of already talked about that. So most common first cars would be a sedan. And what a sedan is, it's a 4-door. So there's many different cars you're going to be looking for. You're going to be looking for, I mean, when you're searching, you might find convertibles, you might find 2-door coupes, you might find vans, SUVs, but the most common first car My first car was a Honda Accord, 4-door sedan. So these are more affordable vehicles of what you're most likely going to be looking for. So let's start the car shopping. When you have done your research online, just like I mentioned, so you've gone on Auto Trader, you've put your budgeting in. Now you've basically filtered down with your your budget, where you want to go. Yep.
So Gay had a really great question, and one that I was actually going to ask, because I was thinking maybe you're going to get into it in another slide. But they want to know, do you have to take into account road tax and insurance when you're looking for your first car? So how much is like the taxes on a vehicle? So if your budget is 5,000 and the vehicle is 5,000, what are you typically paying in taxes? So that means your budget has to be less, right? Like, how does that work? If you could let us know.
So I do get into that, but I can also answer that too. So so when buying a car, if your budget is 5,000, you have to factor in, you're going to have to pay 13%. Well, in Ontario, you're going to have to pay 13% on top of your $5,000. So that is a standard tax that you cannot get away from when you're purchasing a vehicle. So just to put that into perspective, if your budget is 5,000, you're actually paying 5,650 when you add the tax to the vehicle. Then with the tax, you have to factor in, you have to put insurance on your vehicle. Insurance for everybody's going to be different. Usually on your first purchase, you may have a higher insurance. After a year of driving, your insurance will drop. Now, insurance rates can completely range, because that's not really in my expertise, the insurance. But as an idea, you could be paying $120 or $150, just to put it a little perspective, every single month, let's say for the rest of your life, or as long as you're driving a vehicle, on top of the purchase of the vehicle. So you're going to be paying for your insurance, you're going to be paying for tax and gas. So gas, let's just say you buy a car, your gas is $50 every 2 weeks. You have to factor in the gas. Then there's maintenance required. So oil changes, summer tires, winter tires. So there is a lot of things that, and this isn't to scare anybody away, but I always recommend when you're buying a car, just make sure that you have money saved, or you have the financial help, or you're still working. Like when I had a car, I always still had a part-time job, and my paychecks, I would always make sure I saved X amount. So whether it may be $200 a month that I knew that needed to go into my gas, and any maintenance like an oil change or something that might happen to the car. So keep in mind, if your budget is 5,000, then that really means you have to kind of work backwards. Your budget might actually be 3,000 or 3,500, and you have other money for taxes and gas and insurance. So, and as I said here in the slide, buying your first car is a really big purchase. So another thing, making sure that when you do go to the dealership, have your driver's license ready. So after you pass your G2, have your driver's license ready, and going to the dealership with a parent or a guardian. So, and I'll elaborate a little bit more about that. This slide here is just saying, when also buying a car, because as you mentioned, some people may not have the budget for a luxury or a brand new car. But what this is, at my dealership, we buy trade-in vehicles and we resell them. So you can always buy a pre-owned vehicle, and which is a lot more affordable, especially on a first-time purchase. So you don't always have to think in your mind that you're going to spend a lot of money on a brand new car when you can buy a pre-owned. Pre-owned vehicle just means somebody else had owned this vehicle, they've put kilometers on it, so they've driven, hopefully they've maintained it, and the price of the vehicle is a lot less than it would cost you to buy it brand new. Now, why is a car salesman necessary? So this is where my job comes in. Once you find a dealership and a brand and a budget that you've now worked with, I say here, and going to the dealership with your parents, I'm always going to recommend, or there could be parents watching this for their kids, always go together. And a salesman's job. So this is buying from a salesman compared to buying just directly on Auto Trader, let's say. Our job is to help you select the right vehicle that suits your needs and your family's needs. And with me and at our dealership, we can also allow you to test drive. So before you purchase a vehicle, always make sure that you're test driving the car, because you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you're buying a car and you don't like it, because there actually is fees to return the vehicle. Yes.
What does test drive mean and what does that entail?
Good question. I like that. So, you know what? Like when I first bought my car, I didn't test drive. I actually didn't even know.
Neither did I.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. I bought my car off of somebody through Auto Trader. I just handed the cash, walked away. And then my car ended up giving me mechanical problems many months later. I had to put a lot of money into it. It was always breaking down. I never test drove. So that's my mistake. So what test drive means, when you see a car that you like online, let's just say a Toyota Corolla, and whether it's pre-owned and you go to a dealership, you go to a Toyota dealership and you like it and your budget's $2,000 and they have it. You go to the dealership with your driver's license, with your parents, and the salesman will give you the keys. They make a photocopy of your driver's license, take down your information. You can take that car on the road with your parents. So if you have your G2 or your G1, you could take the car just for a quick ride for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You're able to drive the car around the block. So meaning you could drive around the dealership, you can go on the highway, get a feel for the car. This way you'll know if you actually like it, because you may come back and say, I don't like it. It's too fast. It's too slow. Maybe it's making noise. Maybe there's some engine lights on that you don't like. And, you might need to try another vehicle. So kind of a roll on what I was just saying. This here on the screen is vehicle dependability. So the reliability of brands. So when you're buying a car, keep in mind, it costs money to maintain a vehicle. There's always fees after the purchase. So these fees depend on the brand. So you see here, and this is something called JD Power. So this is a car graph that every year is updated. So the brand that I work for is Lexus. Lexus is #1 on the reliability. So meaning you will get very little problems when purchasing a vehicle, like especially in these top, let's say top 4 or 5. So Lexus, Porsche, Kia, Toyota, these are all different brands. It's going to cost you less money in maintenance to own the vehicle. Because one thing you got to factor in when you buy a vehicle, oil changes, winter tires, summer tires, your brake pads are going. As you drive the vehicle, you're putting wear and tear on your car. It's going to cost you money to maintain. So always think about a vehicle that will cost you less money to maintain. And that's probably most likely where you're going to want to get into, because it's going to cost you less money out of your pocket. And that's also something that's very important. So just to continue from the previous slide, when you go to a dealership with your parents, always keep in mind the time that's going to be spent at the dealership. It's not something that is a quick in and out process. Sometimes it doesn't take even one day. And you might see a vehicle, test drive a vehicle. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Joshua. Celine wants to know, can you explain what a G1 and a G2 is? So you may have to go back a couple of slides and come back to this slide.
Yeah, no problem. So what a G1 is, and I don't know if it's the same in other, like in America, I'm not quite sure, or in the UK, but in Canada, a G1 is, it's kind of like a school test before you take your road test. So with your G1, that's step #1. When you turn 16, most people go on their birthday. You're able to go to Service Ontario is what it's called, the ministry, and you can get a book. The book you have to read and study. What this book is, it basically teaches you about road signs. It teaches you about road hazards. It teaches you about learning all the things to prevent you from getting a ticket while driving on the road from the police. So it's like really learning all the rules and regulations on the road. So you're going to need to pass your G1 test. Once you have your G1 test, you're not able to drive a car yet by yourself. You're able to do driving school or drive with a parent. once you have your G1, it only allows you to have your G1 for maybe a year. After that year, you have to go and get your G2 license. Your G2 is where you're actually able to drive a car on your own by yourself. That's just to kind of clarify. G1 is step number one. G2, you're good forever after you get your G2.
And then you have to get your G, right?
Yeah, and then the last step is your G license. And after you get your G, there's nothing else that you have to do. That's your final step. Your G is basically your highway test. That's where you take the car on the highway. And that's usually about a year after you get your G2. You take the car on the highway and you're able to, once you pass that, you have your G license and that's all you need. Your G1, your G2, and your G3. So here is just some images I posted of me in the dealership that I work at, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of the Lexus brand. Yep.
Sorry, Mr. Joshua, can you go back to your last slide? Because I don't think you explained it.
Yeah, so this one I was just, oh, sorry. Yeah, so when you're at the dealership, we do something called a walk around. So a walk around, this is where you get excited about what you're going to buy. So this is where the salesman or myself, I get the keys to the vehicle, I unlock the car, I pop the trunk open, I pop open the hood, I open the doors, I turn on the car, I show you how everything works. We blast the music, you know, I show you the surround sound system, and I do that for my customers. I always get a kick out of it. I put it on the radio, whatever they like, reggae, hip hop, classical, and I crank it up just so that they can see, you know, the value. You always got to build value into what you're purchasing. So some of the cars at our dealership come equipped with 10 to 17 speakers for all my music lovers out there. And then after the walk around, I hand you or your parents the keys, give you a route, you take the car on a test drive, and you experience the car. This is the fun part of purchasing a car. Make sure you always test drive. And then, as I said here, this is just some images of, so that people can see, you know, buying at a dealership compared to buying maybe privately, like Auto Trader. So this is now where I'm going to talk about, I guess, what cars might cost. So after a test drive, once I've selected the vehicle for you and you take it, I take you over to my workstation, I'm going to explain how the next step works when buying a car. You always got to think, what color of a car do you like? And many cars in today's time come with different packages. So trim levels on every car and every vehicle come with different packages. At my dealership where I work with Lexus, the starting point of a car is $45,000. Some can go up to $65,000 for the same car. $65,000 could be a fully loaded vehicle. $45,000 could be more of a base model. Once you've decided what you're looking for, we then discuss and talk about how do you want to buy your car? Because when buying a car, you have to factor in, you're going to have monthly payments. So if your budget is, say, $5,000, just to put this aside, if you're not buying a luxury vehicle, you're going to have to make monthly payments on this vehicle. Even if your budget is $5,000, unless you spend all $5,000 one time, you can make small monthly payments where you can spend about, or bi-weekly, to slowly pay off your car, which is something that I wish I did when I first bought a car. I put a lot of money into the car right away, not realizing that I was actually able to probably pay it off in small payments. So you can make, you know, $150 weekly or bi-weekly or monthly towards a car, rather than spending all your money one time, the money that you've worked hard and saved. Now, benefits of shopping at a dealership: if you do not like the price or the payments, I can always show you another car. So you don't always have to buy right away. You don't always have to feel pressured. So anybody watching, you know, the parents out there, never feel pressured to buy a car. You don't have, just because you go to the dealership, doesn't mean you have to purchase right away. You know, I love taking my time, showing you the vehicles, you know, the best vehicle that's for you. And shopping at a vehicle should be fun, easy, and economical. So it should always suit your budget. Try to not always go over your main budget unless you do have the backings for this, the money saved. So here's just some images of my dealership, just some happy customers, clients that I've had that were able to pick up their vehicles from me that they purchased, and I put the nice bow on it, giving you that amazing experience when you're buying your vehicle. And this is something that, you know, you may watching and you may say, wow, I never knew that you know, buying a vehicle is a very big purchase. So you should feel excited to take it home and show it off to your friends. So here is just some images of some happy clients that I had that purchased their vehicle and were able to take it home. So this is now buying a vehicle at a dealership compared to buying one privately. So I recommend buying from a trusted dealership. Yep.
So Lisa says she likes the sports car and they can't wait.
Oh, yeah. The sports car. So the one there in this picture is actually a convertible. That's why I mentioned when you're buying your first car, a sedan. So a sedan is a 4-door. That will be a little bit more affordable. That one particularly
He likes it too.
in the bottom, that one was $144,000 for that car.
Oh, I don't like that car.
Yeah, in the bottom right. It's called a Lexus LC 500 convertible. So that may not be everybody's first car, unless you're maybe Drake's son, let's just say. And then the other one is an SUV, which starts at about 45,000. But you know, always buy what's in your budget. So this gentleman here had just retired and he was able to buy this car as his retirement gift. So it wasn't his first car, but it was his last car. That's a very good one. So yeah, one thing about buying private. So as I mentioned, when I bought my first car private, I bought my car on Auto Trader. The thing with buying on Auto Trader or privately, you may not always get a car that's safety certified. They may not be road safe. The buyer may not disclose all the personal information of the vehicle to you. So these are very important when buying your first car, because you want to buy a car that's not going to give you mechanical problems down the road. My car actually ended up costing me thousands of dollars over 5 years of owning it because I didn't buy a car that was certified correctly. So that's what I have here. Having a road safe vehicle is important to you and your family. You don't want to buy a car that you need to fix because it's cheap. Plus, it may not always be safe to buy a car privately because you're going to be meeting up with people at their homes or on their driveways, parking lots, in malls. You know, a trusted dealership, no matter where it is, doesn't have to be mine, but I'm just saying somewhere close to you or local, no matter the brand, Honda, Kia, Hyundai, Acura. Always, I would recommend a dealership, even if you have a budget, because you can go there and ask, you can tell them what your budget is, and they will find a vehicle that suits your budget. And then just this slide here just goes back to what I mentioned about after you buy, you're always going to need insurance. Insurance you set up will protect you and your new purchase in case something happens to you. Knock on wood, no accidents or the vehicle. You also need to put gas in your car, so you have to factor in gas prices. So make sure before you buy your first car, start saving your money. You have to have money to keep your car after you purchase, because you have to have the money to maintain your car with oil changes every few months, and keeping in mind harsh winters and summertime. You have to always pay to put your summer tires on and your winter tires on. So yes, cars cost a lot of money, but here with KiddieNomics, you know, we're all about learning how to save. We're all about learning how to budget. We're all about learning how to hopefully live financially free. So that's why buying a car, just keep in mind, save your money, save your money, save your money, no matter how little it is, even if it's $5 a week in a jar. When the time comes, you're going to need that money, and it's definitely going to help you, you know, be able to maintain the vehicle. So here's just some other photos of some happy clients of mine that picked up their car from me at my dealership. And I have here a video. It's just showing you a client of mine who picked up a vehicle, and he talks about the process of from A to Z of what he did when he purchased the vehicle. So I actually just want to play it. It's not that long. It's just about 1.5 minutes long video, just to show you the process, because now with today's world with COVID, you can even do a lot of buying online. You don't even necessarily have to go into the dealership. We can just go to the dealership to pick up the vehicle. there's a lot of platforms now where you're able to see pricing, you're able to see payments, you're able to budget yourself, so that you can buy a vehicle that's not going to hurt your pocket, but a vehicle that you're able to maintain and make your monthly payments and not have any issues down the road. So hopefully this link works. I know I saw a video before where it wasn't able to play.
Sometimes the sound doesn't work, so just
Yeah,
see if
I saw a video that you guys did and it wasn't working. So hopefully this one works.
yeah.
Let me just get it to play here. So this is a delivery I did where he actually talks about the process very shortly, but what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are here at Lexus of Richmond Hill. My name is Joshua Findlay, and I have here my good friend Samuel, who came all the way from the West End to pick up his brand new NX300 2021 black on black. Come take a look. Come closer. This car, built-in remote starter. The key can start the car. Lexus app. He came all the way here. He could have went to any dealership from Milton all the way here. He chose to do business with me. I appreciate this guy. I've known him since high school. So if you're watching this, all my friends and family, that's real love. He came all the way to Richmond Hill just to do business with me, and that's love. He's picking up a brand new vehicle today. So congratulations. Shout out my man Sam on his new car. And he waited so patiently for me because I said I have to do a video. I have to go all out for this guy. So here it is. Brand new. Hold on. Let me do the round of applause. Brand new 2021 NX300. Picking it up. Here's your file.
Thank
Here's
you.
your keys. And before I keep recording, I just want you to say a few words because we did this transaction over the internet. Because he's like, listen.
Smoothest transaction. No one has time anymore to actually go to dealerships. Joshua sent me everything online. Everything was done online. DocuSign, smoothest transaction I've ever done. Come see this guy.
He came during a 5-day sale, so the only wait was to pick it up.
That's it. It was worth it.
Smooth, so
it was worth it. Thanks
you
again.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Of course. If you need a car, give me a shout. 647-333-5262. Joshua Findlay here at Lexus of Richmond Hill. Thanks. Okay, so now that is the end of that. That just kind of gives you an idea that you can buy now online. You can do everything online. You can do all your research online. You can go to a dealership just to finalize the deal. And that's just a client of mine who was able to do that. So that's the end of what I have. If there is any questions that I'm able to answer, I would definitely love to help anybody who's looking for some specific questions about buying your first car.
Celine had a question. Can you color it? Celine wants, I think Celine is asking whether or not you can choose your color. Is that what you're asking? Or was that Lisa and Celine, are you guys asking the same question? That can you choose your color?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually. So yes, you can. The thing is, if you go to a dealership and they have a white car, whatever that car is, or black only, and you have your heart set on red or blue or green or gray, brown, ask the salesman if this car is available in blue. You can always pick your color. Every single vehicle comes with standard colors. So like with my brand, we have our standard black, gray, silver, and white. So these 4 colors are standard. Any additional colors like royal blue, red, there's like ultra white, there's a lot of other colors, green colors. You might just have to wait a little bit longer, but more than likely each brand will always have those base colors that are available and in stock. So you can always customize and get a very particular color if you choose.
Awesome. Can you possibly buy it in purple? Celine would like to know.
Yes, you can. That's probably more of a custom thing. So keep in mind, great question. You might have to pay, like they call it a color charge. So some brands might charge like a $500 charge for a purple car or a yellow car or a baby blue, like my shirt, because they have to pay their manufacturers. Basically, it's like a factory order where you're getting a custom vehicle that's most likely made for you. So you can get purple. I don't think there's any color you cannot get. Every color is always available. You might just have to pay a little bit more to get that car in the color that you want.
Awesome. Do you have any questions? No questions. All right. Does anybody else have any questions online? Let me know. How much does a car usually cost? Oh, Akira, we talked about budgeting in the very beginning. So play back this video when I post it tonight at 8 p.m. And we talked about a budgeting, depending on how much your budget is how much of a car you're going to be able to get, right?
Yeah, they can range from anything. It's more what your budget is. But I mean, in a nutshell, let's say your first car, your budget most likely should be around like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get something on the road. Because I wouldn't recommend a luxury car right away unless you have the budget for a luxury vehicle. But anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 is a really good starting point for a first car. To answer that in a nutshell.
Oh, Celine wants to know, what is the price range for a convertible?
Ooh. Your average starting price, no matter the brand on a convertible, you're probably looking at about $80,000, upwards to $150,000, depending on the brand. Because convertibles are rare. They're usually more at the end of your like retirement, or and like when you're in your 50s, that's usually the demographic that you might see with a convertible. However, here at KiddieNomics, I believe that everybody here is going to be financially well, and hopefully we can all have convertibles much sooner. I'm a part of the KiddieNomics family now, so
yes, you are.
Yeah, and my kids too. So hopefully we can all have convertibles much sooner than retirement. But
exactly,
more than the $80,000, $90,000 price point, even US dollar, Canadian, like it is very expensive for a convertible car.
And Lisa wants to know, what about a Lamborghini? Which is amazing to me because even my 4-year-old knew what a Lamborghini was.
Really?
I was like, you're 4.
Yeah, that Lamborghini's price point, you're looking at about $250,000 for a Lamborghini, upwards to $500,000 for Lamborghinis. Even if you get a pre-owned, so like an older one, you're probably looking at about $150,000, $120,000. That's actually considered a ultra luxury vehicle. There's not much brands more expensive than a Lamborghini. One of the most expensive brands. Very good question. Yeah, I wish I could have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If there's no more questions online, I'm going to do the wrap up. So, nope, it was dope. So Ibi says, nope, it was dope. I think that's what he's saying there. Selena wants to know, what is the most expensive car, if you know it?
Well, I know, like, I think Drake has one of the most expensive cars. Like, from what I know, Drake has cars that cost in the millions, like $1.2 million Bugattis and custom made Mercedes Maybachs. So I don't know what the most expensive car is out there, but you're probably thinking the 1 something million dollars for a vehicle, which in my opinion, even if you have money, I wouldn't do it. Maybe invest your money elsewhere. And I sell cars for a living, but I would not spend millions of dollars on a vehicle. There's a lot of better things you can do. But yes, if you do have it, the most expensive, I think Drake has a vehicle that's in the $1.2 million vehicle. And he might have.
I'm sure there's even more expensive than that. So, yeah, the kids are talking about a McLaren, a Bugatti.
Yeah. Wow.
You need to know the brands.
Know their stuff. Yeah.
We gotta get you financially fit to get all these brands.
McLarens are about 300,000, 350,000. We had a McLaren come by my dealership the other day. Somebody wanted to trade it in, but he wanted 350,000 for it. We couldn't make the offer. We couldn't quite offer him that amount of money, but yeah, The kids in the chat, they know their stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're talking about Bugattis. It's 2.5 million. Rolls Royces. Geez, you guys know your brands.
Yeah, they know their stuff. Yeah. You guys are talking about the $1 million vehicles, which I
Yes.
love. I hope you can.
Not buying your first car, your first
Yeah.
one. That may be
Yeah.
your end car.
Yeah,
So-
I think they're talking about the retirement cars right now,
Yes.
Bentleys.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
never know. You never know when you will, what you guys are going to do, because I expect you guys to be uber successful through all the things that you've learned in financial literacy on KiddieNomics. So you may be buying a Bentley when you're 20, if that's what you really want to do. But we do talk about all the other investment possibilities that will make you money on KiddieNomics than cars. But
Yeah.
I know cars are really fun, and it is an important piece of property that you do need to have, right? To get you from A to B. So, all right. So thank you, Mr. Joshua. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
You did awesome. I'm sure the kids really liked this one. Talking about cars is
yeah.
always super fun. So thank you so much. If you could stop sharing your screen, and I will do the wrap up.
Okay.
There we go. All right, I got a couple of minutes and
Can I do
an announcement. Hang on. Okay. All right. Okay, so that was super fun today. We are going to ask our final question that we ask on every single KiddieNomics webinar, and the question is,
Oh, we're going to change that impacts the world.
no, the question is, what would
Oh.
happen if kids became more financially literate? And the
I-
answer is
We're going to change that impacts.
real change that impacts the world. Why? Because guess what? Financial literacy is going to help you guys get to whatever it is that you guys want to do and be in life. And if it is to buy a Bugatti or a McLaren or a Lamborghini, whatever that is, or, you know, buying an investment property that will make you money,
Yeah.
or investing in, you know, the stock market. Yeah, financial literacy is just going to help you guys achieve whatever it is that you want to do. And whatever it is that you want to do, I'm sure is going to be impactful in this world, right? So that's what we believe here on KiddieNomics. And we also believe you guys are our financial literacy ambassadors, right? You guys are our young financial literacy ambassadors. So what is an ambassador? An ambassador is a messenger, a representative, and you guys represent us out there in the real world. Not just in our KiddieNomics community here online. You guys, I know you guys go out, you tell all your friends and family about all the things that you've learned on KiddieNomics, which is super awesome. And so we know that here on KiddieNomics, knowledge is our superpower, right? Knowledge is our superpower. And honestly, the more that you share your superpower, the stronger you're going to become, and the people around you, right? So go ahead and share all the knowledge that you've learned on KiddieNomics. Celine, you raised your hand. Hold on. Did you put your question in the chat box? Are all these meetings on YouTube? Yep. Every single one of our KiddieNomics webinars are on YouTube. So if you check out our KiddieNomics YouTube channel, you'll see all of our past webinars, and every single one of them are there.
Can I switch the page?
No, I'm not switching. I missed a few and I want to watch them. Yep. Go ahead, Celine. Every single one is on our YouTube channel. So just search KiddieNomics and we'll come up, okay? All right, bye, Kira. Have a good week. We'll see you not next week. Wait for my announcement. Okay, upcoming. So guess what, everybody? We are not going to have a KiddieNomics webinar next week. I know we're every week Friday, but next week we're not going to have a KiddieNomics webinar. Okay, so I've been holding this back that I haven't shared on KiddieNomics, but we are going to have a new baby, and the baby is due next week.
Oh man.
So we are not going to have a webinar next week. We will have a webinar the following week, and where Mr. Joshua will be back on KiddieNomics, and he's going to be talking about leasing versus buying a car, okay? So don't tune in. We won't have a KiddieNomics webinar next week. We will see you the following week. Okay, so question. Naya wants to know, is it a boy or girl? Thank you, Ivy. That's so cool. Is it a boy or girl? All right, I'll tell you guys the following week what we're gonna have, okay?
Wow.
All right, and by then, hopefully I'll have a name too. All right, so don't miss out. Don't come on next week. I'm gonna cancel it anyways. We'll see you the following week, which is gonna be Friday, October 29th, which is also the day before Mickey's birthday. So we'll celebrate that too on KiddieNomics, okay? Caleb.
That's what we were planning.
Caleb is an awesome name, Ivy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Micah and Gay. Thank you for the congratulations. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Celine. Okay. All right. So we always want to hear from you guys every single week. We always want to talk. If you guys have any suggestions on any new webinars that you guys would like to see on KiddieNomics, please send me an email at kiddienomics101@gmail.com. Okay. Never send me an email without your parents' permission, right? Ever. And of course, if you do feel that our information is valuable, please like and follow us on
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. All right. So you can go on our YouTube channel, Celine. As you can see, all of our KiddieNomics webinars are there. This KiddieNomics webinar will be posted by 8 p.m. tonight, which is Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so remember, no KiddieNomics webinar next week. We'll see you back with Mr. Joshua on the 29th, and it'll be Mickey's birthday also. So it's going to be a special one, and I'll let you know what we have. Thank you, Mr. Joshua, for joining us today.
That's good. Thank you for having me.
You're awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No
so
problem.
everybody have a good week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, okay? So, bye!
Bye.